Hi, everybody. Melissa Barlock here, melissabarlock.com. Thank you so much for joining me. Today, I wanted to talk about time blocking, time management, and leveraging your schedule to make sure you get everything done in a day and in a week that you want to get done. So many times I hear from people that say, oh, I don't have time to do that, or I wish I could do that. And, my answer to that is you make time for things that are important to you. So if you truly want to get things done or you want to do things, you will find a way. And so for that reason, I made a weekly success schedule, I like to call it. And I did this at the beginning of this year because what I found was last year, I had an incredibly productive year business-wise. I achieved really lofty goals with my business, which is absolutely fabulous. But what I found by doing that was a couple things kind of slipped down off the priority list, and some things that I, went to the wayside. So some of my priorities that are important to me. So in planning for this year, I thought, okay, what are some things that worked well for me? What are things that I can improve on? What are things that I can leverage or maximize my time better to make sure that I kind of keep things in balance? Now, everything's not going to always be in balance all the time. That's the truth of things. There's always going to be certain things every day. It's kind of changing, but I wanted to see how I could make sure that my priorities were a priority for me every single day. And so what I encourage everybody to do is think about what are your priorities? What's most important to you? What do you value in your life? And typically there's a top, usually 3 or 4 things. And there may be more, but what are your top 3 things that you prioritize that make you feel good at the end of the day, that make you feel accomplished? And so for me, my top 3 priorities are my family, my health, our health, as well as my business. So those 3 things are really important. And, when I accomplish these 3 things, or I work towards these 3 things every single day, to me, that's success. To me, that makes me happy. Maybe different for everybody else, but for me, that turns into a successful week, and then a successful month, and successful year. And all of those things are compounded into progressiveness, right? I like to be moving forward constantly. So guys, so with that being said, time block and figure out what's important to you. Once you know what your core values are, all the other things that kind of come up are not necessarily priorities, or they're distractions. So those things can wait. So get those things that are really important to you done. And then that way, the other things that aren't as a priority, they can get done afterwards. So I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to do a screen share here, and I'm going to show you what my weekly success schedule looks like. So let's do a screen share. And so what I've done is I've got these documents here, and you'll notice that I've actually got a couple in here. I've got a business plan that I do every single year. I've got my financials to make sure that you're keeping track of that stuff. As a business owner, you want to make sure that your finances are in check and all your expenditures. But today I'm going to focus on this weekly success schedule. And, if you want to like and comment and subscribe, and if you get value out of this, let me know, and I can show you some other things as well that I incorporate into my daily method of operations. So I'm going to click on this weekly success schedule. And you'll see here, a couple things are going on. It's color coordinated, which is really important. I've got all the times on the left-hand side, and I've got the days of the week at the top. So I've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then I've got my schedule starting with when I wake up to when I go to bed. Now, I mentioned that there's 168 hours in a week, which means there's 24 hours in a day. And so we have time everywhere to add things in. There's always pockets of time that you can do things. And so this is how I've set up my schedule. And the reason I did this was because I told you that my fitness and exercising was kind of dropping off a bit, which I didn't like. I wanted to figure out where can I fit that back into my schedule. And I didn't want to take time out of my business building activities. And I didn't want to take time out of my kids and my family. So I thought, okay, well, I got to sacrifice a little bit of my time, wake up a little bit early, and get the exercising done in the morning. So for me, that's what works. It may not work for everybody, but for me it does. And that's how I find time in my day. So you'll see here, I'll start with Monday, waking up at 5:45, downstairs working out at 6 o'clock. So I've got a good hour to do my morning routine of exercising. I like to do a little bit of meditation, as well as those positive affirmations or I am statements. And that's my morning routine. That's just me. Now, then you'll notice the kids get up, I make them a healthy breakfast. So you'll see it's coded in green. So anything in green is health and wellness for me. So again, that's a priority. So I want to make sure that I'm making the family a healthy breakfast, because that makes me feel good about what I'm feeding my kids, and they can start their day off right. Then you'll notice anything in blue has to do with the kids. So they're off to school, and then my work day begins. Anything after that and before the kids get home from school, I'm focusing on the business. Everything else can wait. So what I like to do is I like to at least schedule, you'll see meeting 1, meeting 2, meeting 3, and meeting 4. Now, it may not always work out that way. I may get more in a day, I may get less, but generally speaking, I try to strive for at least either belly-to-belly meetings, one-to-ones, or phone calls or conference calls. So that's the way that I've structured my business that way. And then in between those meetings is where I'll do the touching base phone calls or texts, conference calls and things like that. So you can really leverage your time. And of course, when you're having meetings, if you can have more people at one meeting, you're leveraging your time even more, you're maximizing. So you'll notice, I've spread it out in 2-hour increments. So you've got the 8:30, or hour-and-a-half increments, and then 10, and you'll see here 12, and then the last meeting around 2 o'clock. Okay, so this for me works really well because I can be back for the kids, get them from school, and then it's back into kid time, right? That's back into family time, which is really, really important to me. So that's where, their healthy snack when they get home from school. That's where they do their activities. That's where, homework and everything is done. And you'll see that's quite a chunk of time there that I get to spend with my kids, which is absolutely amazing. And then you'll notice as the day goes on, you'll see here, back at 8 o'clock, kids are, winding down into bed, and that's where mummy time or business times comes back in. I put on my entrepreneur hat, and it's back to, leadership calls, conference calls, follow up, any networking events or things that I want to do, or me time with spending on the business is done after that. And then reading and personal development is very important to me as well. Now, it doesn't always happen. Again, this is my optimal schedule. And it's, of course, different for everybody, but I like to get reading in right before bed. You'll notice I don't watch TV. To me, that's a time waster. There's so many other things that you could be doing to learn and expand your brain. So I like to read. And if I don't read, I like to listen to something on YouTube or TED Talks or something, inspiring in the car on my phone on the way to my meeting. So I really, really leverage that travel time for learning or touching base with people. So that's how I maximize my time in the day. And then of course I try to get to bed at a reasonable time. And you'll notice that this is all color coordinated, so I can see a great visual of where I'm spending most of my time. And if I ever want to add something else in, you can fit time in wherever you want, essentially. Now you'll notice I've broken down every single day, and you'll see there's 24 hours in a day total. So, for Monday, for example, 6 hours I get to spend with my kids. I've got an hour at least with fitness. I've got my business here. Monday is a busy day for me because of the conference calls and things like that. Every day is different. And then I've got my personal development and about 7 hours to sleep. Now for me, 6-7 hours is more than enough. That may be different for you. I know my husband needs way more sleep. Otherwise he's a grumpy bear. But for me, 6 hours is more than enough. And then I've even broken it down a little bit further, and you'll see on a weekly basis how much time I'm spending with the family, with the kids, and all that kind of thing. And you can break that down and figure out where you want to shift things. And if you're thinking you're spending more time in one area, you can pull it from another. Now, again, this is kind of just a really high level success schedule, I like to call it. It's not written in stone, but it's a great visual as to where you're spending your time. Because my daily operations, I actually just schedule it on my phone. And I use Google calendars, which is absolutely fabulous for day-to-day meetings. And that's what I do for all my meetings. And that's where I actually book in times that I'm meeting people in places and that kind of thing. So it's really, really helpful. But this is a great visual. Now, one of the things I loved about this visual was when I showed my kids my schedule, number one, it's teaching them about time blocking and prioritizing things as well as being organized. But number two, my son said to me, "Mommy, wow, you spend a lot of time with us." And I said, interesting observation, because that's absolutely true. you know, the fact of the matter is a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we feel guilty if we're spending too much time on the business and not with the kids, or, you know, with the kids and not on the business. So this is a great visual to say, hey, you know what? I'm spending just the right amount of time on each area. So I don't need to feel guilty if I'm spending time on one or the other. So it was really great for him to come to that conclusion, so that, you know, if mommy's working on something, then I can say, hey guys, you know, if I were in my corporate job, which I used to be in before what I'm doing now, I would be leaving at 6 o'clock in the morning or 6:30 in the morning and not getting home until 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, and then starting dinner. And I would miss out on all that time with my kids, enjoying spending time with them. I'm so truly blessed and fortunate to be able to, you know, to really work the business of my dreams, spend time with my kids and my family, work on myself, and optimally, that to me is a happy life. So guys, thank you so much for hopping on with me. I hope that you found value in this video. And please feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe. If you want to see more, then I'm certainly happy to help out with that as well.